Hi, welcome back to another pivot table tutorial. In this video, we're going to cover how to refresh a pivot table. Sometimes the source data itself might change. Now, I don't usually recommend manually updating raw data like I'm about to demonstrate, especially if the datasheet is connected to a primary database somewhere else. But sometimes we know it's a fact you have a source data set in Excel without other data connections. Hopefully you have a data governance process in place to make updates like this. So assuming that's the case, let's go back to a pivot table we created earlier. And this one again has the counts of children by program and by progress category for knowledge and skills. And I just want you to glance at the numbers for a moment. Now, let's assume, for the sake of illustration, that we have back in our source data, we have records where we need to update some of the programs because they've been miscoded perhaps. So let's suppose that these first few records were not program A, but rather should have been program H. Okay, so we've overwritten these data. Now, let's go back to our pivot table. By default, Excel will not update your pivot tables automatically, but there is a way to refresh these manually. Right-click on the pivot table and click Refresh. And you can see now we have a new row for program H. I'll do that one more time just so you can see the change. Again, keep your eyes on row 12. There is also an option to turn on that allows the workbook to automatically refresh the pivot tables every time you reopen the workbook anew. So to do this, right-click on the pivot table and go down to Pivot Table Options and click on the Data tab toward the right. And you'll see an option that says Refresh Data when opening the file. Check that box and click OK. And it's going to prompt you with a message that says essentially that this is going to refresh all of the pivot table reports that you've already created in the worksheet and in other worksheets, in fact. So we're going to click OK. And now if you close the workbook, then reopen it, and you had updated even more data, all of the pivot tables that we've created in these tabs would update automatically. So there you have it. Now you know how to update your pivot tables if your source data ever change.